All right, this is Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calculus. We're doing 4.5 in Pre-Calc. This is our second video in the series. This is the video with the phase shifts. So phase shifts are just a pain. Basically, you do all the same steps you do before. The difference is that you're going to need to shift your start location from the y-axis. What this fundamentally boils down to is that you're going to have to scale your x-axis more cautiously. You're going to care what those hash marks are instead of just dividing your period in quarters. You'll still use the quarters, but that's kind of the idea. So as we've seen before, transformations inside are horizontal and backwards. So if C over B is positive, the start's going to move to the left, C over B units, and if it's negative, it's going to move to the right, C over B units. So let's go ahead and walk through some phase shift problems. We're going to do a total of 4, and that'll be the end of this section. All right. So I intentionally kept this sort of on the simple side. None of the other stuff changed. I just have a phase shift and a period change, right? So, so the amplitude is definitely a 1, and the sea level is definitely 0. I was intentionally not trying to make this a super complicated problem. So, so I can go ahead and just put a 1, right, and -1, and so my sea level is definitely still 0, and my top wave is at 1, and my bottom wave is at -1, right? I'm not trying to make this super tricky, okay? So what has changed, right, is that the period is going to be 2 pi over 4, which is a pi over 2, right? And then the phase shift, right? So the phase shift is going to be, so see how this is negative, right? So that's going to mean that it's to the right, okay? So it's going to be C over B, right? So pi over 4 to the right because it's a negative, right? So remember, negatives on the inside are backwards. So let's go ahead and scale our axis. So I know my period is 2 pi, or sorry, pi over 2, my bad. Sometimes my brain reverses some things. And I know I'm going to cut that in half and cut the halves in half, right? Cut that in half and cut the halves in half. But what I want you to notice is that half of pi over 2 would be a pi over 4, right? So when we say phase shift to the right, if I look at my hash marks, I say, oh, that's 2 of my hash marks, right? Because this is a pi over 4. That's 2 hash marks. So I'm moving 2 hash marks to the right. That's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing, right? I'm going to take this, and I'm going to say, cool, this is my new start. 2 hash marks to the right. So this is new start. That's it. Okay, and then I'm going to look and say, cool, it's a positive sine function, right? So positive sine starts middle and goes up. Well, that's still going to be true, but now start isn't on the y-axis. Starts middle means here. At the next hash mark, I go up and then back to the middle. Now, that's the end of that direction. I ran out of graph. That's fine. I just go the other way. So from the middle, it would have to be down, up to the middle, all the way up, back to the middle, right? Down to the bottom, and then back to the middle, and then here you go. And I know that I've gone 2 full periods because you can see that this is one wave, right? And this is the other wave. So again, the difference is that my new start was 2 hash marks to the right, and that's the only part that's kind of tedious about this, is that you actually have to care about how you scale your x-axis so that you figure out, hey, I know it's pi over 4 to the right, but how many units is pi over 4? That's the idea. All right. So go ahead and try one, right? You can see that what you're graphing here is a positive cosine, right? And that I intentionally didn't change the amplitude. The amplitude's 1, and sea level is also 0. Like, I didn't change either of those things, right? So sea level is 0, your amplitude is 1. My goal here was to teach you how the phase shift works without changing the entire problem, right? So my amplitude's 1, and then down here is a -1, right? So go ahead and walk through, right? I'm going to find the period to be 2 pi over b, which is going to be pi. So I know I'm going to put a pi here and a negative pi here, and I'm going to cut that in half and cut the halves in half. And we'll see what exactly happens in terms of how many hash marks I'll move left, right, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I get that the phase shift, right? So I'm going to go C over b. Well, that's going to be a pi over 2 to the left, because it's a positive, right? See how this is a positive, so I'm going to move to the left. Well, I look at this and I think, oh, hey, that's actually 2 hash marks again, and that's just a coincidence. Like, don't read too much into it. But I look at this and I say, oh, it's 2 hash marks I need to move 2 hash marks to the left. And that's it. I'm just going to move my start, and then everything else is the same. So this is going to be new start. New start. And then I know that it's a positive cosine, right? So positive cosine starts up, but start is now here, right? So down to the middle, all the way down, back to the middle, all the way up, back to the middle, all the way down at every one of those hash marks, right? And I can do the same thing on the other side. And notice that this is still 2 full periods. It's just shifted off to the side. So I should still start and end at the same location, right? I started and ended at the bottom, right? And that shows that I have 2 full periods. You can see this is 1 period and this is the other, okay? We're going to do 2 more, and then that'll be the end of this section. All right, so this time I went for the whole thing. This time I changed everything, right? So we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit more difficult, all right? So the first thing I notice is that this is a negative sign, right? So a negative sign starts middle and then goes down, right? That's what a negative sign does. So right away, I know that's what my graph should be doing, okay? I see that the absolute value of negative 10 is 10, which is my wave height, right? That's my amplitude. I see that my sea level is a positive 3. So I'm going to have to make a lot of hash marks here because I'm going to have to go as high as a 13, right? So 1, 2, 3, that's my sea level. But I still have to be able to go up 10 more units, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yikes. Excuse me, I just made it. All right, so there's my top wave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there's my bottom wave. And again, they don't have to be perfectly horizontal lines. I'm okay with it. Okay, so I found sea level, I found my amplitude. The period is going to be 2 pi over 2, because there's a 2 in front of the x, which is pi. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pi on either side. So there's pi, there's a negative pi, and I'm going to cut it in 4s. So that's cut it in half, cut the halves in half, cut it in half, cut the halves in half, okay? Now I need to figure out my phase shift. Well, C over B is going to be a 2 pi over 2, which is going to be a pi, right? So it's going to be 2 pi over 2, and because it's positive, it's going to be pi to the left. So that's 4 hash marks, right? So that's 4 hash marks. Because if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's pi, right? That's 4 hash marks left. I have to move all the way. So I'm going to take my start, and it's not going to be the y-axis anymore. It's going to be all the way over here. So it's crazy, but this is new start, right? New start is right at the edge of my picture. And then when I graph this, because it's a negative sign, it's going to start in the middle and go down. So start at the new start in the middle. At the first hash mark, it goes down, right? Middle. Oh, sorry, did something silly. I told you guys to watch out and not do that. Middle is at sea level, not on the axis. Down at the bottom, then middle at sea level again, up at the top. It's harder when the sea level is really close to the axis. You tend to make that mistake more. And then back to the middle. Now notice that in 1 full period, I completed a full wave, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and go down to the bottom, back to the middle, up to the top, back to the middle. And again, when you have the sea level really close to the axis, it's really easy to make that mistake. So just, heads up. All right, and there's my graph. All right, let's do one last one and call it a day. All right, so again, I kind of gave you the whole thing here, right? So go ahead and walk through, right? First thing I notice is that this is a positive cosine. So it starts up, right? Wherever start is, we're going to start up. All right, so my absolute value of 8, which is 8, is my amplitude, right? My sea level is going to be at a -5. Now, again, I'm going to find myself in a situation where I need a lot of hash marks, because if I'm down at -5 and I have to go down 8 units, that's a -13 again. So let's go ahead and bust that out first. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's my sea level is at a -5. Kind of terrible at drawing horizontal lines. Okay. And then I need to go down 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yet again, we just made it, right? Cool. Okay, and then I have to go up 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Cool. So then I need to find the period, right? The period's going to be 2 pi divided by b, which is the number in front of x. So that's going to be a 4. So I think I get pi over 2, right? And then my C over B, my phase shift, is going to be a negative 2 pi over 4, which is a negative pi over 2. What that's going to mean is it's going to mean pi over 2 to the right because it's negative, right? So pi over 2 to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pi over 2 period on either side. And notice that that's a full period shift, right? So I cut that in half, I cut the halves in half, I cut the period in half, cut the halves in half. This right here, this is going to be 4 hash marks. It's going to be a full period moved to the right. So what we're going to find is that our start is now going to move to here. So this is new start. Now what's tricky about this is because there's nothing on the right of this, it's sometimes hard. So you know cosine starts up, right? But then you're not going that direction at all. But it's okay because cosine starts up, so the only place it can go on this side is to the middle, and then all the way down, and then back to the middle, and then up to the top. And notice that after one full period, I finished the graph. I finished, like, started and ended at the same spot. And then I keep going, right, to the middle, all the way down to the bottom, back to the middle, and then back up to the top. And there's the second full period. All right? And you'll notice that actually ends up looking like a regular cosine graph. It's shifted far enough over that it looks like the regular cosine anyway. And that is your entire video.